This week, our question's from Linda, and Linda lives in Daytona Beach, Florida. And she said, "Hi, Julie. I recently read your book, Angelic Attendants, which is amazing, and I have a question about the white gauze. You only mention it once when describing a death. Were the other people who passed also wrapped in it?" Linda, and here's my response. Hi, Linda. Thanks for reading Angelic Attendants and for your terrific question. I saw, in my mind's eye, the energetic white gauze to which you're referring get wrapped around my mother's body as she was in the last hours of her life. It looked like strips of white linen. The wrapping began at her feet and over time included her whole body and head. It reminded me of how ancient Egyptians were wrapped for burial and is what in present day we'd call a mummy. The practice of wrapping a dead body in strips of linen was customary in first century Judea. Egyptians gave the cloth symbolic significance as a representation of purity and called it, quote, woven moonlight. I love that, woven moonlight. They considered linen to be a symbol of purity and light. In the Bible's New Testament, when referring to the resurrection of Jesus, John 20, verses 6 to 7 talks about an empty tomb only containing the strips of linen used to bury Jesus. So you're correct. In the thousands of end-of-life scans I've done, I've only seen the strips of linen procedure done on two people, my mother and a nun. When asking Spirit why, I was told wrapping the body as its spirit is preparing to transition is an honor bestowed on spirits/souls who have lived countless lifetimes and have greatly served the masses. It's interesting to note the, quote, holy people we expect to get this spiritual recognition don't necessarily receive it. For example, when scanning the last moments of St. Pope John Paul II's transition, I didn't see any strips of linen being wrapped around his body. I can do instant replays and do like a time of death and see what spirits were in the room and all of that. And that's what I did with the Pope. Lastly, the thought occurred to me that we normally dress our loved one's corpse in their best clothing for burial. Perhaps the strips of linen used to bury people in ancient cultures was the equivalent. Thanks for asking such an insightful question. So, Linda from Daytona Beach, appreciate you submitting your question.